Alright, man. Gorillaz tier list. I don't really have any notes besides the fact that I'm including D sides and G sides, and I'm not including Like It Come Home. It's just part of this tier list. I just threw it at the end of the line. I've been meaning to do this vid for a while, man. Funny enough, a Gorillaz video was supposed to be my first video. I had a script, I was trying to edit like audio and like clips together, but it took me insanely long to do so I just never did it, and I just caved and started doing tier lists instead. But I wanted that to be my first video because Gorillaz got me into music. I've been listening to this band for the longest time, and around the time Song Machine was coming out, that's when I kind of started to listen to albums and when I was starting to kind of develop my own taste in music. I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for Gorillaz. I don't think I'd care about music as much if it weren't for them. And there are so many artists that they've put me onto, and I'm forever grateful. So I thought I'd do this video. This is gonna be a fun one for me. So yeah, let's just get into it. I'm going to be going in chronological order, so let's start off with G-Sides. I'm pretty sure this is their first technical project. Yeah, it's just a compilation. This one's going to go in D tier. It's okay. There are some big highlights on here like the Sounder and Ghost Train. Ghost Train is like top 10 Gorillaz, honestly. But everything else is just fine. Faust, Hip Abalatros are just okay songs, and the remixes don't do much either. Has some highs, the rest is just kind of okay. It's a solid project, but I feel like it perfectly encapsulates one of my favorite eras of Gorillaz. That being their early days. Something about early Gorillaz just hits different to me, man. And it just sounds really dirty or like dusty. Like something about this album and Self-Titled, they just sound like a dusty record you'd find at like this rundown record store. G-Sides is solid though. I just feel like they'll take this sound and do it way better on Self-Titled. But yeah, this is like a light 5. It's alright. Then we have Self-Titled, straight into S tier, man. I love this album. I'd argue that every single song on here hits. Sure, there are some weaker tracks on here like Dracula, but it's honestly consistently great throughout. I love the weird sound palette they have on here. You'll get songs like 5-4 and Rehash near the front end, and then get like Rock the House, Double Bass, and Slow Country near the back end. It's super scattershot, and it honestly kind of just feels like a bunch of songs this one band came up with out of nowhere. It's kind of like an anomaly of an album. It sounds really weird, but it's insanely enjoyable, man. Phase 1 Gorillaz is just something else, and this record shows that. I feel like I haven't heard many albums that sound like this. Records like Deltron 3030 and The Cold Vein kind of remind me of the sound here, mainly just due to how weird they are for the time they came out. But I don't ever think I'll hear an album that sounds just like this one. But yeah, Self-Titled is fantastic, has some of their biggest hits, has some of their most underrated tracks, and it's just genuinely one of their best albums. Feeling like a decent to strong 9 on this one. Then we got Demon Days. Hot take, this one's kind of overrated. I'm gonna throw it in B tier, man. Okay, so hear me out. This record kind of reminds me of Pink Floyd. Now, in terms of sonics, not at all, but in terms of the atmosphere and what it kind of does for me, it really does remind me of a lot of Pink Floyd albums. It feels like it's kind of going for too much. And while yes, I enjoy most of it, it just doesn't hit me the same as their other records. It feels like they were consciously trying to outdo Self-Titled and like trying to go for a bigger, more grand sound. And while I like it, like I said, it just doesn't hit me the same as their other records that they've done before and after this. I don't know, man. I can't really describe it. It just doesn't really do it for me. I still really like it though. It's like a decent to strong 8. It's great, but I don't know, man. There's something there. Then we got D-Sides. Hot take, this might be the most underrated Gorillaz album. I'm gonna throw this one in A tier. Not only does this have some of their best songs like We Are Happy, Landfill, and even Stop the Dams, honestly, but it really returns to that old Self-Titled sound with a lot of weird songs on here. Like, what is the swagger, dude? I have no idea what that song is. This has some of the heaviest Gorillaz material as well. Like I said, We Are Happy, Landfill. That's honestly like one of my favorite Gorillaz songs ever. Murdoch is God is fire. And even Spitting Out the Demons is pretty freaking great. Sure, there are some more boring songs on here, like Highway Under Construction or 68 State, but I like the atmosphere that it brings to the album. It really makes it feel like a darker version of Demon Days. It's really weird. Disc 1 of D-Sides is pretty great. It's like a decent 9, but the second disc isn't nearly as good. It's filled to the brim with a bunch of remixes, but I will say they aren't too bad. I do like a few of them, but to be honest, I'm not even going to return to the ones that I enjoy. The back half is kind of just something I dust off. I don't really let it affect the score of the album as a whole. It does kind of bring the score just a little bit down though. So I'll give D-Sides as a whole a light 9. Yeah, this record's super underrated. Then we have Plastic Beach, which I'm gonna throw at the top of S tier. This might be one of my favorite albums of all time. Everything about this album is perfect. Every song at minimum is fantastic. Every feature does their thing. The production throughout is so layered and complex. Listen to a song like Rhinestone Eyes. You follow that production as it progresses, and it just keeps building on the same beat, and it's so fun to listen to. Every song is so enjoyable. It is ear candy, man. This is one of those albums where literally nothing else I've heard sounds like this. Every song is just so well put together, and I love every second of it. Every few months I'll return to this album and just remember how good it is. One of their best records, if not their absolute best. And honestly, like I said, this might be like a top 10, top 15 favorite album for me. This is a 10, without a doubt. It's so good, so good. Then we got The Fall. I'll put this under G-Sides, honestly. It's an interesting album at the very least. Damon made this on an iPad, which is cool, I guess. It's kind of just weird background music. It varies from being good to just plain annoying. And it's mostly just kind of whatever to me. It's cool, it exists, whatever. I will say though, in the original draft for my first video, I said that this album sounds like weird alien background music. And to be honest with you, I can't help but agree still. This sounds like just some like weird broken dystopian radio. And it's really friggin' strange. It doesn't help that there was no real like art during this era of Gorillaz. Damon just kind of made it and then released it. And like I said, it just kind of exists. It's a really weird album. It's just kind of okay though. Like a strong 4 to maybe a light 5. Next up though, we got Humans, and I'd like to revoke my statement on D-Side saying it was the most underrated Gorillaz album, because Humans probably is. This one's gonna go at the top of A tier for me, man. Hear Me Out, this album is actually really friggin' great. Let me just run through the track list real quick. Ascension, banger, put me on to Vince Staples. Strobe Light, fantastic, like one of the best Gorillaz songs ever, honestly. Saturn's Bars, fantastic, has one of the best Gorillaz music videos too. Moments. A lot of people complain about the kick drum on there, but I still really love this song, and it's genuinely one of the best off the record for me. Submission. Put me on to Danny Brown. Funny story, I remember listening to the song when I was younger, and then being absolutely horrified when Danny Brown's verse came on. He's insanely aggressive on this track for no reason, but it's really fun, and I honestly feel like Submission could have been thrown on Atrocity Exhibition and would have fit in perfectly. That might just be me though. I kind of overplayed Charger, but I still really like it. Grace Jones has a fun performance. Andromeda used to be my favorite Gorillaz song. It's still really freaking great. Busted in Blue is a little boring, I will admit, but it's nice. Carnival's really weird. It's kind of messy, but I still really like it. It's trying too hard to be spooky, but I enjoy it for how campy it is. Then Let Me Out is just a fantastic song. Pusha T has a great verse. SMP is actually garbage. That's one of the worst Gorillaz songs and the only skip on here for me. She's My Caller is fantastic. Super catchy song, super sensual. Kali Uchis has a great performance. Hallelujah Money is campy, but also really fun. It's taking itself way too seriously, but I love it. And then We Got the Power is friggin' corny. I swear to God, man, We Got the Power is one of the worst Gorillaz songs, but it's also really friggin' funny, and I can't help but enjoy it. This album is kind of like the B movie to me, where I've listened to it so much to the point where I accept all its flaws, to the point where I just absolutely love this album. It might just be nostalgia because I used to listen to this all the time, but man, I genuinely really like this album. It's a decent 9 for me. The deluxe is a little better though, I will admit. Then we got the Now Now. And to all the people that heard that last statement about nostalgia and are going into the comments saying, oh, it's definitely nostalgia. The Now Now used to be my favorite album of all time. I don't know why, but something about the vibe that it had, something about all the songs kind of being good to me. It was just, I don't know, man, something about it. I just loved it. And for a hot minute, it was like the end-all be-all album for me. On re-listen though, it did not hold up at all. Sure, I do still enjoy songs like Humility and The Closer I still don't know how to pronounce the name of, but it's honestly just kind of boring. I feel like I'm kind of harsh on it right now due to the fact that I used to hold it in such high regard, but I don't know, man, it just grew off me tremendously. Humility's great, Trans is an okay song, I kind of overplayed it though. Hollywood's still a good song. Kansas is kind of a snoozer though. Sorcerers is cool, Idaho's okay, Lake Zurich is okay too. Magic City used to be one of the best Gorillaz songs to me, but it didn't hit at all on re-listen. Fireflies is actually one of the good songs on here, I like that song still. 1% is just whatever, it kind of just flies by and is over in a minute. And then The Closer that I still don't know how to pronounce is still one of my favorite songs off of here. This went from being like top 1 Gorillaz to being like bottom 3. I'll throw it under G-Sides, man. I used to love this album for some reason, but it just doesn't hit at all now. It's okay though. I forgot to rate this for some reason. It's like a strong 4 to a light 5. Then we got Song Machine Season 1. Funny enough, this used to be my least favorite Gorillaz album. I don't know, man. I think it was a little too complex for my pea brain at the time. Lots of experimentation, lots of different stuff on Gorillaz' end, and I'm glad I re-listened to it, because man, I love this album now. It's gonna go in S tier under self-titled, maybe even above. Yeah, I'll put it above, honestly. It takes me back to 2020 when all I was listening to was Gorillaz, and I just love every second of it. It's insanely consistent, and it kind of just feels like Plastic Beach Part 2, honestly. So many bangers, so many fantastic features, and it's so nostalgic for me, man, which is honestly kind of crazy to say that I'm nostalgic for 4 years ago, basically. Yeah, this album's fantastic. It's like a strong 9 for me. I have one note, though, that being that the deluxe version is a 10. It has Peggy on it. What is there to be mad about? I mean, like, he just makes it a 10, you know what I'm saying? In all seriousness, though, the deluxe songs are some of the best here, and I think just elevate it up a little more. Both versions of this album are fantastic, though, and are just some of the best material Gorillaz has put out to date. I just forgot to add this one on. I'll be right back. I forgot to put Meanwhile EP on here. This is okay. It's solid, man. I don't really ever go back to it. I like the title track. That's about it. It's solid, I guess. I'll throw it in D tier, like maybe under or above the Now Now. Yeah, I'll throw it under. It's like a light 5. Then we got their most recent record, Cracker Island. This album sucks. I'm gonna throw it in F tier. This is their one bad album to me. Every song sounds so corporate and samey. I cannot with this album. Maybe it's because I was glazing Gorillaz for so long, but on the Cracker Island album cycle, I realized how much they have been focused on marketing. The new models of the characters do not look good to me, and just the album rollout for this kind of felt like, I don't know, man, it felt like they were trying to focus on selling you the characters. Like, I remember listening to the single on Spotify and seeing all the merchandise, and it was like the most lame thing ever there. I think what I was trying to say here was that they're trying to focus on selling you the characters opposed to making good music. This is kind of like how I feel about certain concept albums, where it's like, oh, the concept matters more than the actual quality of the music. And that's how this album feels to me, if that makes sense. This album just feels really corporate and feels really empty. Every song on here besides the title track and New Gold kind of sounds the same. And to be honest with you, even those songs don't really do much for me. I also forgot to mention how bad the lyrical content is on here. Like, bruh, come on, Silent Running, the tired influencer, you're just hitting me over the head with, ooh, internet bad, social media bad metaphors. And I know they've kind of been like anti-social media, anti-internet. They've been kind of political in the past, but they did it with subtlety. On here, it's just kind of hitting you over the head. It's like, hey, look, bad. Oh, look, internet bad. I don't know how to put it. It's so obnoxious, man, and just feels so inauthentic. It just feels so soulless, man. And especially on that closer. I don't know, like, are they trying to evoke emotion here? I don't like that song at all. This album sucks. It's like a strong 2. Okay, so for one, it's a light 2, and also all the songs in here sound the same. Like, it's so hard to distinguish between freaking Oil and Silent Running. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Genuinely a bad album from Gorillaz. And there's my Gorillaz tier list. Despite all the talking I did, I still feel like I have a lot to say about this band. They're genuinely one of my favorites, despite them putting out so much mid. Just the way they've shaped my music taste. I'm forever grateful, man. But yeah, share your rankings in the comments as always. Glad you made it this far in the video, man. And I hope to see you in the next one. It's gonna be a special one. Bye.